education, medical marijuana, public transportation. Those are all issues that Pastor Millicent Middleton wants to tackle if she's elected the next state representative for South Carolina House District 116 after Robert Brown retires. I speak exclusively with the pastor for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on social media. Pastor Millicent Middleton, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me, Quintin.
You're very welcome. This is my first time actually meeting you, but of course I went to school with both of your daughters at Burke. You know, I'm class of 2004.
Yes.
So I went to school with them, went and sat in classes with them as well.
I could imagine. I was in those classes a lot, so I could imagine. Yes.
Great times at Burke.
Yes, I miss it.
Yes, indeed. And now, obviously, as I just mentioned, you are a pastor. And obviously you're a community activist as well.
Yes.
And now I understand that you want to run for South Carolina's House District 116 to be the next state representative.
That is correct.
Why, Pastor Middleton? Why now?
I'm going to tell you something. Just like you mentioned, I'm an activist in that region and have been for close to 5 years. I've been pastoring for over 15 years. My church was in Fort Lauderdale. My husband asked me to close the church down to come back home to help take care of his mother. I did not want to come back to Charleston. I can tell you that right now.
Wow.
But I'm glad that I did, because there was a strong calling for what I do in that region.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that raising up people in that region who's been living, they've been lying domain for decades, and they just needed a little spark. So I've been organizing Democratic groups. I restarted the Sea Island Democrats. McKinley, Washington asked me to come out in St. Paul's District, and I recreated the St. Paul's Democratic Club. And what that had done was build a platform for those when there's something going on, like the closing of Minnie Hughes. Representative Brown was able to come to that platform at St. Paul's meeting one evening and was able to rally up with the constituents to show up at 75 Calhoun Street and stop the closing of Minnie Hughes. So there's a lot of things that I'm doing in the region, and not just in Charleston County, but even in Colleton County.
Right, and that's mostly where most of your constituents are as well. I know that on your website you said, quote, "I have deep roots in District 116 communities." What is your relationship like right now?
So I am not only owner but residents of Wamala Island.
Yeah.
My family is from St. Paul's District. My mother, Hermina Betray, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she was an activist herself in the same region. And it just so happened 50 years later, I'm doing the same fight that she and others been fighting for 50 years ago. Why are we still having the same fight? I'm going to tell you why. Because no matter how much we're fighting on the ground, if we are not at the State House helping to pass legislative laws, helping to vote on things that matter in our region, and when we're there actually working for our region, nothing will never get done. Nothing would never change. And we'll be here 50 years later having the same conversation. That's not going to happen.
Two questions. Well, I was a little windy out here, pardon me for that. But what is the biggest difference between 50 years ago and right now when you think of the civil rights struggle?
I'm going to tell you, in District 116, not much. Now, if you're in an area with downtown Charleston, James Island, even parts of North Charleston, you would think we have arrived. We have not yet arrived. I'm still fighting for public transportation and frequent public transportation. Why do we have a bus system that comes every 3 to 4 hours? And the only bus stop that's in all of District 116 is the one that I put up a year ago, right by the McDonald's at Maybank in Maine.
Okay.
A year later, Link finally put their sign to acknowledge that, yes, this is a bus stop. We need more bus stops that will signify that there's more people that needs to ride the bus. We need more ridership, because the increased ridership would give us more frequent buses. But in the same token, in all of District 116, we shouldn't have to flag down a bus system just to catch a ride, to get to school, to work, to a doctor's appointment, to a job interview. What happens if you got to use the restroom and you leave? By the time you come back, here comes the bus passing you by. That's not good.
And let me jump to that. Now, it's actually at the bottom of this interview, but you said you want to increase public transportation. And I know that you want to fight, obviously issues on different levels. What level do you have left to increase public transportation?
Well, I'll put it like this. I've been meeting, because I'm a part of the Best Friends of Low Country Transit.
Yeah, William Hamilton.
William is my bestie. I love William and Julie, and they are great friends of mine.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let's talk about that. Me, I drove the bus for
Right.
William and the group
Right.
all the way to Columbia to go to speak at the committee for the complete highway bill. Thank God for that testimony and other testimonies, because that helped got a unanimous bill, a vote to pass it up to the House. Now it's in the Senate seat. My thing is, even for that, we need our highways to be complete in all of District 116, even for the public bus transit to properly work. You don't have no sidewalks for people to stand on. They don't have much road space, so the road is limited for even a bicycle route to go on the sharing of the highway. So with the complete street highway bill, we can get more bus safely on the highways. That will increase more public transportation.
And let me take you back to March 29th, 2019, that is, because you said this quote. In March 2019,
Yes.
Millicent Middleton traveled to the State House to testify before a subcommittee of the state legislature in favor of a bill requiring the Department of Transportation to adopt a policy to build, quote, complete streets, which is safe for pedestrians, transit riders, and cyclists, as well as automobiles, according to your website.
Yes.
And your website goes on to say this: the bill was reported out to the full committee after her remarks. How will complete streets look in 116?
It will look safe. In all of South Carolina, the number one city for the most pedestrian deaths is in District 116. Mostly the Sea Islands, because of the overdevelopment. You got massive of cars that's on the highway, congestion like crazy. You remember a couple of months ago, there was a complete shutdown. Traffic was backed up all the way to downtown,
Right.
trying to get on the island one way on and one way off.
Right.
What if that was a highway evacuation? What if that was in the midst of that evacuation and the storm hit? You know what? Lives would have been lost tremendously, because they would have been stuck on the road. And I've been fighting this fight with City Hall for now 3 years.
Wow.
We need to make our streets safer for the pedestrians who's walking, those who are riding their bikes to get back and forth to work, even for our animals, for God's sake. Make it safe. We shouldn't have to die on the road in order for them to take this serious.
Let me take you to the other issue you said. You said this: you want to fix highway infrastructure. How much money would you request from the Department of Transportation if you were a state representative today?
I would request the maximum amount, because we are so back into the ages of our roads. We don't have no roundabouts that will make it easier for traffic to flow. We don't have no sidewalks. We don't have much sidewalks. We don't have no bicycle lanes. Very few bicycle lanes. And I'm talking all of District 116. We don't have complete highways where the road would edge off into a big ditch. I can't get you to imagine how unsafe that is. If you get a flat tire, where you going to pull off at? You got to change your tire on the street. So there's a lot of things that plays. Not to mention, not enough lights. If we have more lighting, maybe the people can see that there's a big ditch or a big tree or even a big deer coming out of the woods.
But then, where is your confidence with the Department of Transportation right now?
My confidence is not with them. That's why we want to put all the control into the state. Because we're tired of fighting the issue of, oh, that road don't belong to us, it belongs to the state. Then the state said, oh no, that belongs to the Department of Transportation. If we put all the eggs in control of one entity, now they can disperse it into not only Department of Transportation, but you got Sanders Brothers, you got banks, you got all these other companies that can assist with the proper strengthening of our highways.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question, that is. How would you vote if you were a state representative today if another gas tax were to come up in the state of South Carolina as far as the House of Representatives?
You know what? I would vote it down. You know why? Because my district don't benefit from it. I'm going to tell you like that. It's helping out other areas. I can see the beauty of other areas in their highways and how they take it so serious to fix potholes in other areas where we got to ride over potholes and girders in the road till all our cars tear up. And that costs us financially for those who have a car, for those who can afford to have a car. But even if we have a car, we can't afford to keep fixing it because of damaged highways. I would vote it down.
You talk about highways. How many highways actually need infrastructure in District 116?
All of it. There's not one highway in all of District 116 that don't needs fixing. Maybe with the exception of the 2 precincts in west of the Ashley.
Okay.
Other than that, our highways from the area of Johns Island that belongs to 116,
right,
all of Wamala, going into all of Johns Island.
Oh yeah.
Going into parts of Colleton County,
sure,
which is not even in the downtown part, right, of Colleton County. Sure. I know. I used to drive dump trucks.
Right.
So I was part of the team of paving highways. And that's when I got a visual idea of, this is crazy. All we're doing is repaving a problem. It's just like, excuse me, because I'm a pastor, it's just like putting makeup on a whore. Similar plain. You're patching it up, but not getting any progress.
Let me get back to, obviously, increasing public transportation. Who's fighting now for that increase? Besides, obviously, as you mentioned, you and William Hamilton.
There's a Cajun ministry group, Charleston Area Justice Ministry, which I'm a part of, right, their transportation leadership team committee as well. And we've been fighting for more, better public transportation. And we've been doing that for a long time. We even had a great meeting with Sharon and Ron.
Oh yeah.
And that meeting was so successful, and we were so geared up for the Nehemiah action, and then pandemic shut us down. But I'm hoping that we can regroup with that. Okay. Because at the end of the day, when you got the best friends of Low Country Transit, and you got Cajun Ministry Group, who are coming together collectively, eventually, with all these thousands of people coming together on a common ground, we will make a difference. But what will make a difference if someone like myself is in a position to present these legislative laws, to vote on public transit funding, and I can actually not only have a vote, but actually be there to vote.
I want to continue with public transportation in just a second, but you just talked about the pandemic, that is. If you were in the State House today, and I know they're going back tomorrow, which bill would you propose to help those citizens in District 116 right now that need help? economically.
Yes, I'm on board with Joe Cunningham. As you know, Joe Cunningham and I had the great joy of meeting each other when I was the precinct captain of the Sea Islands.
Okay.
Not only the precinct captain, but I was the delegate representing the Sea Islands.
Okay.
State delegate, that
Sure,
is.
sure.
And I really had brought and introduced to the Sea Islands door knocking and canvassing. And I had people like Amber Allen and Jamie Cobbs who came into the Sea Islands, and they helped me knock on doors. We woke up the Sea Islands. And if you remember, I did an interview with Channel 2 News,
right,
speaking about how St. John's High School stayed open until 11 o'clock that night.
Wow.
11 o'clock. So my thing is, those are the kind of organization and organizing that we need to do when we're trying to implement something. Getting Joe Cunningham was so important that it meant knocking on as much doors as possible.
I know that you said that obviously you all woke up the Sea Islands. How will you as a state representative wake up Columbia?
Can I say amen? Let me say amen. Because let me tell you something. Not only being connected to awesome groups like Cajun Area Justice Ministry Group, the International Justice Ministry Group, I'm also connected and on the committee with the Poor People's Campaign. I am connected with the Progressive Club as part of their committee of the Sea Islands. I believe that a person like myself, who's connected to such broad infrastructure of organized organizations, will not only bring support, but it will bring manpower, because we are working on a common ground to organize people for a better tomorrow. See, here's the thing. A lot of people might be a part of the plan, but a lot of them are not a part of the purpose. They're not purpose-filled. So when you are driven and you're passionate about what you do, because this is my life. This is nothing that I'm just jumping into. My heart and my compassion for fighting for District 116 will not just extend to just 116. It will extend to areas like my friend Deanna Berry in Denmark, who needs public water and the fight for that. Nicola Hempel in the upstate, who's fighting for common grounds in her area. By the way, the three of us will be on my webcast, Wind Down Wednesday, this Wednesday at 5 p.m., talking about broadband, because all of what District 116 needs broader internet access.
I was going to get to that in just a second, so let me go right there. You said this also on your website, expand broadband access. And I know obviously you say you want to take the fight where it hurts. Where does it hurt in 116 when it comes to getting that access for broadband?
It hurts everywhere of 116. Let me tell you something. Each one of my platforms is something that I'm passionate about, because it's things I'm already working on. My children, my students who I volunteer for, took on excursions to Atlanta and Martin Luther King with the R&R youth group. We've worked with children to expose them to more. But when they are home, they are limited to what they can do, because they have little or no internet service. They are playing catch up when they go to school. They are suffering greatly in District 116, which plays a major role in St. John's being probably number 9 in the 10 most failing school of South Carolina, because these children are limited to what they can do to help them to excel. And if they don't have public transportation after getting home, how are they going to get to the library? How are they going to get to the local McDonald's or somewhere where it does have internet? Because the highways are so stretched far apart, you can't expect for those children to walk on unsafe, incomplete highways. So all of these things tie in together, because if it don't, the criminal rate will keep rising, because when you have lack of education, you have things that will give them limitation to how they can excel in life. If they're not going to excel in life the way we need them to, they're going to find a way to survive.
What is the crime rate right now in 116?
The crime rate in 116 itself is not high, and I can't put a number on how it's contribute, because we don't have much businesses to combat against a crime rate happening in 116, which is another opportunity. We need more mom and pop stores to build up so that we can expand our livability. We can expand our wage earnings. One thing that I can say, before there was Fight for 15, as a restaurant manager for McDonald's, I was fighting for my employees. $7.25 is way too little for any adult to be taking care of their household. And when you got a minimum wage of $7.25, what do you think people will do? They will do whatever it takes to survive, to feed their family, to keep their lights on.
As a matter of fact, let me continue that, because obviously you said you're an advocate for criminal justice reform.
Yes.
An advocate for educational reform. And you said to me over the phone, your voice can't be heard unless your vote is fresh. How fresh will your vote be on these two reforms?
It would be very fresh, because one, even though I went to school to study law when I first came out of high school, go Rocks, had to put that in there. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not a politician by right. I'm not a lawyer. So my compassion as a pastor and as an advocate for what is right, I'm not easily to be sold out. So no, the chances of me being sold out to a big corporation to buy my vote is zero. Zero. I can't be bought. I will not be bought. Because one thing I can honestly say, everybody who worked for me, regardless if it's 30 years of restaurant management, allotted me to hire lots of people, train lots of people. But more than that, it had allotted me to build people and build people of impact. So when I am faced with the adversity of things such as a person not having a job, my voice will be heard, because I know what people are going through on a daily basis. My voice will be heard, because I'm not shy to speak my mind, and I'm not shy on fighting for those who can't fight for themselves.
I should have asked you this earlier, but let me get back to the, obviously, education and generalities, because as you know, there's big talk about single member districts and all these other things that are going on right now. Where's that common ground when it comes to the Charleston County School District?
It's not a common ground. There's a disconnection with District 116 and Charleston County School District. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not in favor of a lot of things that's going on behind closed doors. They need to be able to include the community when it comes down to what's best for the community and their community schools. I went to Minnie Hughes Elementary, and I'm going to tell you, that was an awesome school. And during those days, as a third grader, I used to go to the Oasis program at Rivers Middle.
Sure.
I was an honor roll student. I'm a part of the honor roll society, a national society, and that came from schools like Minnie Hughes.
Okay.
So for them to shut down a school, by all means, they are doing an awesome job. Why are you closing down schools like Minnie Hughes and Garrett that is helping our children and helping them to excel? I got a problem when they are shutting down the good schools. How is it, if Charleston County School Board is making great decision, how is it that we got a middle school and a high school combined? Baptist Hill should never be a middle high school. children coming from elementary school is going to school with young men and young ladies who's getting ready for life. That's a total unbalance. We need to have structure to care about our children and not just the budget alone, because they find means of budgeting these bigger schools. Find a way to develop a system that would increase the seating capability in these District 116 schools. We need to be able to increase the number of students. Find a way to do that if that's your only reasoning for shutting it down. I'm also part of Title I board. Right. And when I first learned how Title I get calculated to funding the school, I say shame on them. Because then these big developers, they come and develop in these small communities, and they take their children outside and go somewhere else. But yet, Title I gets funded by the whole community of residents that live in that region, regardless if the student goes to that school or not.
You talk about those developers. Obviously, there's a big talk around the region about gentrification.
Yeah.
If you were to talk to these developers and ask them for something, what would you ask them as far as incentives to make certain that gentrification is slowed down in your mind?
Yes, I would ask them, one, let your children go to our schools and help us. And if you're concerned about the teachers and their capability, then let's help hire teachers. Because obviously, if they got the funding to build a whole community, then you've got enough funding to help pour into the educational system. You do it for other schools. And then on top of that, let's help complete the highway infrastructure so that it is safe for our students and your children to get back and forth to the school. As well as help us build up a bus system, a public bus system to help fundament the circulation of people in these districts. Because I promise you, if it's good enough for you to live there, it should be good enough for your children to go to school there.
You talk about funding. What type of funding do you want for medical marijuana?
Oh, yes. So, I have a good friend, Jill Swill. Jill Swill has a 9-year-old daughter with lupus. This baby suffers greatly with a lot of pain. There's children with cancer, lupus, sickle cell, adults, people, human beings, in a lot of great pain that medical marijuana would give them a more soother solution versus the harsh medicine that is tearing down their bodies. You're treating them with these harsh medicine that usually end up killing these children because it's so heavily sedated. So my thing is hydrocodone, oxycodone, this stuff is heavy drugs that by all means give side effect to other parts of your body, like your lungs, your kidneys. It shuts them down. People who are diabetic with neuropathy, I know my husband is one of them. I watched this man, and as a pastor, I'm gonna tell you, I would argue with anyone 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would argue with anyone that they tell me marijuana helps with my pain. Matter of fact, our marriage was challenged because I argued with him about the fact that if it's illegal, you shouldn't do it. Well, people like Jill Swill have to go to another state where it is illegal, and bring it back so that her daughter can have the care that is needed to help with her pain. Not to mention, it's natural. Now, medical marijuana is not one that you can go in the street corner and buy. You would have to get a prescription from a doctor. And you're not going to go around smoking it like you a Bob Marley fan. You can get it in an all drop, in a pill form. there's other forms that this product would be distributed, but it would be mandated by the physicians on the quantity as well as the maximum of strength that one would be able to take.
Now, here's another redundant question, but if you were in the State House today, what bill would you propose for that?
I would propose a bill, first of all, to at least allow it to be legalized in this state, because eventually it is going to come. But we need it now more than ever before, because we've seen studies that in other states that the crime rate actually went down.
Pastor Millicent Middleton, thank you so much for your time, and again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.